This is Aaron Heinzelman with D2Football.com talking with Jed Stugart, head football coach at the University of Sioux Falls. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you. First two games of the season this year, in your first season as a D2 member provisionally. Talk about the challenges you see with first off with Washburn in week one.
Well, first of all, I know their head football coach so well. He's a good friend of mine, and so I've paid attention to their program over the years and know just the job Coach Shirk's doing. And also have a lot of familiarity with the MIAA. I used to coach in Northern Colorado, and we had a lot of clashes in the playoffs through the years. And so I'm very familiar with that conference in general. So I know that any team that comes out of there, and especially a team like Washburn, we know we got our hands full. We got to be prepared and ready to play.
Talk a little bit about your team. I'm sure a lot of MIAA fans, much like myself, really not real familiar with the University of Sioux Falls. What kind of things should an MIAA fan look forward to in these first 2 weeks going up against the Coup?
Well, I think we're a team that we've obviously had a powerhouse NAIA background, and we've had a lot of history there and a lot of championships there, and I think that's the question mark a lot of people have is this: does our first year in Division II, are we able to sustain that kind of success as we go into the world of D2? And I think this is a great test for us. I think a lot of people that have kind of looked at Sioux Falls on the outside, I think there's always going to be a question mark to say, hey, can they compete at the next level? And that's where we're at too. And I think that's why we felt like we needed to play teams like Washburn and Northwest Missouri, and so we can really gauge. And before Omaha dropped, we had Omaha on our schedule because we needed to find out exactly where we were as a team as we go in our first year. So I think very good programs. I think there's great tradition here, and our job is to try to see if we can kind of carry that on to the next level.
You talked about the transition to D2. One question that was posed on my blog on D2Football.com was about the scholarship difference between NAIA and Division II. Talk about what the differences are in scholarships you're allowed to offer and what advantages or disadvantages that might have.
Well, a lot of times in NAIA schools, it's encouraged to help, enrollment, and that's common in NAIA that you set a scholarship limit to the NAIA, and then if you go over that limit, once you've declared a roster, then those guys aren't eligible to play that year, and they usually redshirt or whatever. The difference is now with the NCAA is that you can't have a cushion over. Obviously, NCAA is 36 equivalencies. Each conference might be fully funded or the full equivalency, and some might not be. And so the difference is that we've, in a period of 3 years, we've had to kind of convert over from that model of having several guys or several kids on scholarship that are put us over, and that means your roster size isn't 120 and 25 like it's been in the past. It's closer to 100, and so there's a little bit of science that you can't do it overnight. This process has been in place for 3 years as we try to convert over to those equivalencies, which we're operating on now. So that's a little bit of the difference is that you may not be carrying as many kids from an enrollment standpoint as you would if you're an NAIA program.
Talk about the quarterback situation. Last I read, there was two guys going to try to battle out for the starting spot. A couple of transfers, one from, I think, is it New Mexico State, and another from D2 Cal PA. Who's looking to be on top in that race?
Well, to be honest with you, we're still kind of there. This battle's been going on for a while. We're continuing to kind of let these guys battle it out a little bit until we really feel like we've got a clear-cut starter. And so we're still in that position where both guys are operating with the ones and twos and kind of really, both of them have had to learn this playbook. Both of them have had to learn our program, and so we felt like we needed to give them both ample amount of time to learn our offense and then be able to make a decision as we kind of come out of our end of camp scrimmage that we'll hold and see kind of who emerges as the leader of that offense. So we're still, it's been a great battle. We feel comfortable with either one of those kids taking the reins of our offense. So it's the good news is we've had good competition there. We feel like we're very comfortable with either one of them, but we just got to kind of let it play out and see kind of what happens.
So that scrimmage is later today, is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, this evening is kind of our final scrimmage before we get into game week here.
And then media day tomorrow. Do you feel like you might be able to name a starting quarterback at media day tomorrow?
Well, we know that's going to be a big question. We don't feel like we're not going to do that just for the sake of that. I mean, we got to look out for what's best for our team, and if somebody emerges that way as we create film, and we kind of if there's an obvious choice, and maybe that we'll be prepared to do that. But like I said, I'm not too sure when you're in a situation where you have two brand new quarterbacks. I could understand if it was a returner, but we're not going to gauge it by that timetable.
So as far as the quarterback is concerned, a little question mark there as to who might start. Talk about some of your other skill positions, running back, wide receiver, and anything on offense or defense, really, of guys that where they stand and guys that are looking to make big impacts for you this year.
Well, I mean, we've got a returner at running back in Christian Porter. Christian's has been a fixture in our backfield for 3 years now, and very hard runner, and kind of reminds me of a lot of the running backs that we used to see in the old North Central Conference days, and even in our battles at Northwest Missouri, he kind of fits that old school mode a little bit. Christian's a hard runner, and we also have Jordan Taylor, who's been with us last year, was his first year here as a sophomore, and was another kid that we feel like a nice 1-2 punch in our backfield. I think we lost the player of the year in NAI last year, John Ryan, and Alex Anderson, another receiver, two of our go-to guys. And so those were tough to replace, but we're seeing, Mike Hicks as a receiver, Tony Benedetto. We've got two young kids Jeremiah Oates and Jeremiah Hunter are young kids that one's a freshman that's kind of been competing. It'll be interesting to see how if he's in a position to play right away, but it looks like every day he keeps showing that he can. And so I like our receiver core. We're young, but we have a bunch of blue-collar guys. Mike Hicks is kind of a little bit more of our speed threat, and the offensive line is really anchored by two veterans in Casey Peters and Jared Floto, and we've been able to we're not completely deep at that position, just like about everybody in the country. You're never real deep at offensive line, but we like our chemistry there, and we got some guys that have played together, but we got some new guys that have really been learning the system, and they've meshed well. So offensively, I feel very good. Austin Van Hove was a great tight end for us, so we lost in spring ball that medical redshirt this year, and so we won't see him this year, but we still feel like we've got some good, consistent tight ends that can step in there. Defensively has always been a little bit of our kind of a mainstay with us as far as we've got we're very consistent there through the years. I've always been, the last 5 years, we've been the top defense in the country, and that's a lot of tradition and leadership and guys picking up the mantles. Our defensive line, we were able to kind of pick up a couple Omaha kids when they dropped their program that have been stepping up nicely. But the guys that have been here, Eric Anderson, a linebacker, was defensive player of the game in the national championship last year. He's a sophomore. It's great to have him back, having that kind of experience. And our secondary is probably where we're most experienced. We're young, but a lot of experience there. And with those guys, and Michael Frericks and Angelo Pree and Denzel Adams, those are some names that really, you should be starting to kind of, fly around and make some plays just because they've kind of been used to being out there.
Now talk about the atmosphere up at Sioux Falls. For Washburn fans heading up there week one, what kind of stadium are they going to see? What kind of fan involvement are they going to see? And just overall, what kind of experience will they have in Sioux Falls?
Well, we're a it's a brand new stadium. The stadium's only been 2 or 3 years old. We're our fan base is very good. I think it's just being here a year, I was always real surprised when I got here to really see the facilities here for, especially an NAIA school that you might see in different places. I mean, we got a brand new stadium that's some of the best in some of the places best places that I've seen that we compare to. And so, very excited about our facilities. I think they'll love the environment, the temperature and the climate up here, and just the city of Sioux Falls is just a great place to come up and enjoy a game, and I know they'll be treated well, but it's a great environment to play in up here.
For the casual or experienced D2 fan that doesn't know too much about Sioux Falls, again because they're NAIA just coming into D2, tell us one thing about the program that you might not know, but you're going to learn pretty quick here as they transition into the division.
Something that I might not know, or your fan base.
No, something that a Division II fan base might not know, but
I think a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, they made a lot of history. Sioux Falls, and we made a lot of history by going up and beating North Dakota up in their dome, and it was one of those games where a lot of people didn't think we had a chance, and we ended up winning by almost 2 touchdowns. And I think people could kind of see that we're a little bit, we're a team has a lot of tradition, and I would always classify us as a blue collar team. We're not real flashy, and these kids love to play football. They don't. They just really enjoy what they do, and so I think what they'll find is that we're, one thing we get complimented a lot is we're a team that just likes to play football, not a lot of flash, and these guys are very classy in the way they play, and very similar to the days where we used to play Northwest Missouri, and always had great respect for a program like that. I think there's a lot of similarities there in relation to the levels that they've been. I think there's not a lot more these kids can do in the NAIA level. I think they're excited about a new challenge, and I think people will find that Sioux Falls is a good program that's worthy to be at that level competing.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. I wish you good luck in your scrimmage tonight and in media day tomorrow, and we'll be seeing a lot of you and your team in the next few weeks as MIAA fans.
Appreciate you having us on, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Have a good day.
You too.